It's not every day that you get to talk about peak cinema, peak fiction. Only the highest echelon of art would ever dare be a contender to be considered within the greatest of all time. Seven Samurai, The Godfather, Lord of the Rings. And standing above all of those, looming down with the intensity of a gigantic demonic kaiju with multiple massive tentacle dicks, there is Legend of the Overfiend. To say this movie is a landmark would be an understatement, and it's for all the wrong, yet so right reasons. This movie is distinctly famous for being one of the most disgusting, outlandish, violent, gory, horrific, jaw-dropping, wild, and sexual anime films to ever find its way into the unsuspecting hands of many young teens that were definitely too young and innocent to have their minds warped by the bombardment of shapes and images of demons fucking and tentacles going everywhere and monster kaiju battles and whatever the hell this shit is, and people getting cut up into pieces and 3 dimensions clashing into each other to form a full-scale apocalypse the likes of which has never been seen before! Alright, hang on, let me back up. Okay, so apparently this movie was originally released as 3 OVAs in Japan and is an adaptation of the manga Orosuki Dochi by Toshio Maeda. It sets up a lore very early on that there are 3 worlds that exist: the human world, the demon world, and one of man-beast hybrids. Okay. Anyway, once every 3,000 years, a super powerful god called a Chojin is supposed to appear and make way for a great era for all 3 worlds. Basically, a god of all gods that will usher in a new age.
Let me see that super Chojin dick. Ooh, baby.
We get this exposition right in the beginning of the film, and then we immediately cut to a bunch of demons fucking each other. One of them has 4 tits, which I think is pretty cool. But now we need to touch on this very important question. Is this movie actually a hentai? Well, it is generally considered to be one and has been marketed as such ever since appearing here in the West in the late 90s and early 2000s. It's part of the ads on the box art to sell the movie, and it's marketed towards that crowd of fans. And considering the amount of sex and tentacle fun that appears in it, and that sex itself is actually a pivotal role in the plot of the movie, how else could you sell it? Look, I'm not an expert on the H-word anime genre, but from my understanding, this movie offers far more to be explored and enjoyed than just waiting for those moments. What I mean to say is, you're not just waiting for the sexy scenes, and instead what this movie does is fully bask and embrace that sex and violence combo to an absolute ridiculous degree, but it goes so far, and I mean so far into the sex and violence that it actually does this weird thing where it almost serves as a staple and an example of that genre of anime from the late 80s and creates its own genre in the process. Yes, I am saying that Legend of the Overfiend does what it does so well that it actually lifts itself away from any preconceived genre and becomes its own thing. It is like the Dark Knight of gore movies. How The Dark Knight was such a good film when it came out that it was being talked about not as a superhero movie but as a film. Overfiend is not just a hentai, it is a film. And I will die on that hill. The animation style, the demons, the action scenes, the over-the-top destruction on city-wide levels, as well as seeing people swallowed by monsters, watching a guy chop his own dick off so that he can reattach this demon dick to his own body in order to help give him hyped-up superpowers. Yes, that happens. It creates a feeling and a zone of barbaric disgust that embraces itself and pulls you in with this vibe that it has that you cannot escape it. You can't go anywhere else. Even movies like Ninja Scroll and Wicked City, they dabble within this hardcore adult world, but Overfiend just is the entire way through. It's in every shot, every scene, every moment. It's just pure, unadulterated debauchery the entire way through, and I absolutely love it for that. But then it actually has a story to go along with it that is insanely bizarre and at times hard to keep track of, but all comes back around and makes so much sense by the end of it. So the protagonist here is Nagumo, who is your average high school student spying on girls in the locker room and jacking off. I mean, what did you expect from this movie? Anyway, there's a suspicion that he may be the chosen Chojin, and will at some point turn into this god in order to bring in a new era. So Amano, this guy from the man-beast hybrid world, is here to keep an eye on him, to see if his suspicions are correct, and protect him from any would-be demons that want to stop the Chojin from coming. And boy, there's a lot of coming in this movie. First, the girl Nagumi has a crush on, named Akemi, gets attacked by a demon pretending to be a school guidance counselor, and it starts having its tentacle way with her. Yeah, there is grape in this movie too. Again, what did you expect?
One little sniff of pussy and you lose it.
Amano saves her and destroys the demon with this crazy superpower that he has that's never really fully explained, but Akemi thinks that Nagumo is the one that did it, so she starts to fall in love with him as her hero. And the movie goes on to try to flesh out their relationship and actually kind of does a pretty good job with it. I was surprised. All the while, various demons enter the human world looking for the Chojin to kill it before it becomes a god. This results in other scenes like the demons thinking it's this high school jock that the Chojin is, but really the jock is just hanging out, banging like 4 girls at once, like every high school jock does. But then all those girls get ripped apart by monsters, and this horrific chase scene happens that just succeeds in being both ludicrous and terrifying. And then we gotta talk about this other loser kid named Yuichi. He is also in love with Akemi. She's very popular with both men and demons, it seems. Anyways, he gets upset that she's with Nagumo, and a bunch of other girls come to comfort him. But really, they just want to humiliate him by having him suck on their toes. Honestly, I kind of pegged Yuichi for being the kind of guy that would be into that, but this was the 80s, so maybe foot fetishes and toe sucking wasn't popular yet like it is now. Also, there's no ass eating in the movie either. But there is a motherfucking 69! Yes, at last! So rarely do you see my favorite sexual position portrayed in movies, so let's give this movie a round of applause for that. That's freaking awesome. Nagumo also, he comes in less than a few seconds during that 69, but you know what? I feel you, buddy. It's alright. Happens to all of us. But back to Yuichi, all the foot women are then annihilated by demons, and he is offered this giant BBDC, big black demon cock. The demon tells him to chop off his own wiener and then apply the BBDC to achieve extraordinary powers. So obviously he does it. I mean, who wouldn't? He becomes monstrously powerful and has one-on-one battle with Nagumo, which begins to awaken Nagumo's Chojin form, turning him into this demonic monster, and it doesn't matter how much blood and cum of his that Yuichi swallows. Yeah, that's a thing, because Nagumo kicks his ass anyway and breaks him into a dozen pieces. So I know by now, if you've never seen this movie, you're thinking, what could possibly be the entertainment value within all this? And bro, this is about an hour and 15 minutes into the movie, so by this point you are so locked into this insanity that you just go with it. Also, I do want to go into a little more details onto spoilers and talk about, well, the Overfiend. And that requires talking about the finale of the movie, so if you don't want to know anything, and I've sold you so far on it, go watch it for yourself, and come back to this video when you're done. But for those of you who were already traumatized as young children and teenagers and want to relive one of your awakenings of your youth, come with me as we talk more about cum. You have been warned. So Nagumo and Akemi begin to get it on uninterrupted this time, and my man not only lasts a lot longer, but he also gets so into the session that his eyes begin to glow red, his grunting sounds like a lion about to destroy its prey, and I know we've all been there also, fellas. That Makaru he took earlier is working well. We're also well rested and hydrated, her pussy is feeling good, and we are about to go to town on her so hard, not only because we love her, but we also want to destroy her. So much so that we sprout horns and wings and sharp demonic fangs, and when we bust that transcendent nut, a world-changing event happens, like transforming us into a giant kaiju demon monster with the capabilities of mass world destruction and various tentacle dicks that shoot jizz blasts like Kamehameha waves, decimating an entire city. What, that's never happened to you? You guys gotta get out more. So the Chojin is actually the Overfiend, an apocalyptic Cthulhu-like monster that is meant to not bring world peace, but to annihilate it so that the world can be rebuilt and started over. because the cum blast so strong enough to transform you into a kaiju also impregnated the human Akemi, and it's actually their child that is the Chojin. And after its father destroys everything, then the Chojin will be born and rebuild the world to make it better. There cannot be creation unless there is destruction. And yeah, that's pretty heavy for what you think this movie is, and it all of a sudden gets very bleak and depressing because this monster cannot be stopped. And man, do they try. Yuichi comes back for one last hurrah, other demons and the man-beast try to destroy it, there's gigantic battles in the sky, a sea monster comes out to fight it, and Amano tries everything he can possibly do to defeat it. He powers up, he smashes inside the body of the Overfiend, only to find Akemi's body there, possessed by their unborn child, which they only had sex about 5 minutes ago, so it's probably just like a sperm. But anyways, the Chojin then explains through her that this apocalypse is necessary for the next stage of life. It is crazy. And this is why I think that this movie had such an impact for all of these years. This was not what any other kind of animation was giving you back in those days, especially when anime was still picking up steam in the US, and there also has hardly ever been anything like this since. This is a testament to the time period that was released, and the animation is so incredibly good and detailed. The battle scenes are out of this world, and the soundtrack, bro, the soundtrack makes you feel like this is an epic scale fantasy film officially produced by a big movie studio. This movie is what so many other gore-centric sexual movies try to be but can't, and maybe that's just it. Maybe there can be only one of these kinds of movies that stands out and is the absolute prime example of what a gore anime actually is and could be. There will never be anything else quite like this movie, I guarantee you. This is probably not the kind of movie you want to pull out at a party or show a girl on a first date. Well, maybe it is, to let her know you're into 69s. And it's possibly not a movie that you should even ever watch, ever. Afterwards, you're going to want to rethink your life, you're going to want to take a shower, but just know that when it's done, you experienced a piece of cinematic history that will never be replicated for as long as you continue to live, or as long as it takes for another 3,000 years to happen and the next Overfiend rises out of the dick of a horny demon man.
Wow, look over here. Oh, you've got quite a boner there.
So tell me, what do you think about this movie, and what was your first experience with it? I know I have many people here that were probably way too young to have watched it when they first did, so I'm curious about your stories of sneakily watching this after your parents went to bed, or making your dad rent it for you pretending it wasn't as bad as the box art made it seem. Anyways, let me know all your thoughts and opinions down below in the comments. Also, please like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel as well, because it would really help me out. Those things really are more helpful than you think. Also, I have a whole playlist of anime reviews as well as a deep selection on many of the movies from the 80s and 90s if you want more recommendations. And finally, if you'd like to support the channel more, please consider joining my Patreon, which is linked down below. Even as low as $1 a month would be very helpful. And I have a number of perks that you may enjoy, such as shoutouts, video requests, promos, and more. Other than that, guys, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll talk to you next time.